Really? All of that in Indianapolis? I believe you. Good local coffee shops. You know, there's plenty of good Pokemon tournaments in the past. Did you go to the regional? Oh, maybe soon. We can talk later. No spoilers on what was covered last week. For his sake. I'm sure I'll have a good time. Speaking of, talked about last week how playing Selfless with a certain character, a favorite of mine, it's a lot of fun, and you definitely, when you are trying to help your team out and help protect them, I think it plays a big factor into not only there could be a whole team morale thing, but it rewards your game sense when you observe how helping others can bring about their own strengths. And part of that while you play is this certain aspect of focus. And, it's always interesting when you go from sports, card games, fighting games, just anything PvP in general, competitive PvP, and what defines focus and what defines good execution. And this stems even to playing musical instruments. Growing up, people would tell me, to me, I love just giving public speeches. How's it going? And when I found out that a common fear in humans is public speaking, it kind of threw me off. To me, I just love good, genuine conversation. You can learn so much from genuine conversation about other people, about the world. Obviously it's important to ask where sources come from, when facts are stated and other things when it comes to conversation. But when it comes to, public speaking, I just always liked doing that in general. Again, it stems back to educating and just the values you can get out of discussion. And so what's interesting is really one of my own, on the other end, when I, went to the University of Missouri and University of Central Missouri, honestly, is actually during community college as well. My awesome instructor, Dr. Wendler, helped me a lot with, getting good with piano and just good execution, performance execution. That's the interesting part. So this, when it comes to acting, when it comes to playing an instrument, when it comes to playing against someone, again, whether it's in NFL football or Team Fortress 2, there's a clock that's ticking, and how are you going to perform, right? And so in practice, in study, you often are told to relax but keep focus. And so there's this sweet spot you're looking for. You're looking for a balance between relaxing but being constantly observant. And so the public speaking thing is that even though I was thrown off how many people feared that, I myself, my biggest thing to hurtle over in terms of it definitely was what I think one of my biggest, honestly, I'm so reflective of me. I've loved challenge my whole life. I just, borderline addiction. To me, it's just again, in PvP, it's ooh, this is tough, but I want to keep at it. Yeah, a hard matchup, right? In a fighting game, what's considered a hard, let's say that the opponent you play against has beat you 10 times out of 10 so far. That's fun to me. That's fun to find out what I can do to improve. But when it comes to solo, saxophone, and piano performance, especially saxophone, that was definitely, I think, the most anxious prone factor for me. That was the most anxious prone challenge for quite a while. And Dr. Wendler helped me out, with performance. But, by the time I got to the University of Central Missouri, we were required to do a solo saxophone performance. And to me, when I found out semester 2016, fall 2016, that I had to do that next semester, rather than start freaking out and started going like, I can't do this or blah, blah, blah. You know, some people might do that. They might panic. To me, I'm like, this is it. This is the big challenge. It's required. How can I prepare for this accordingly? And it was fun, you know, finding someone to help play piano while I played saxophone and preparing for that and practicing and keeping that up with my lessons. You know, shout outs to Dr. Wright. He's really good instructor. All my instructors were. I know Joe at MU was great. Professor Sagigit. You know, it was great to Mr. Isaac. And so all my music instructors have helped me with stuff like this. And so that pinnacle moment in winter 2017 when I did a solo saxophone performance, that was the, you know, some people like to call it in the zone. But I actually don't think in the zone, I think in the zone can start stemming towards relaxation a bit more, because when it comes to like this is it's game time kind of factor, I really do think you're trying to find that sweet spot between both relaxing and being constantly observant of what could be ever changing. And in a performance, it might not go out exactly how you practice. There might be a small thing off key, but the thing is a lot of people in the crowd probably won't pick up on it. That's what my instructors would tell me. And it's all about, you know, the confidence of presentation and adapting to what's coming, especially, you know, with jazz musicians. Now, my piece wasn't jazz oriented, but with jazz musicians, they are ever adapting. And, you know, this dials back to sports and PvP, is that it's important to relax, to recall about what you practiced and to not let your mind panic. But it's also important to constantly survey what the challenge in front of you is. And that's tough. To me, it's a fun challenge all the time. I main Yoshi and second Donkey Kong in every Smash Brothers game, and both those characters are big upon, Yoshi is really big on technical execution. And if I start overthinking that, and if my mind were to start panicking, saying I need to press all these buttons, double jump cancel up air, and then double jump cancel forward air, and then I get the tech chase with the dash attack, you might just get fried. Your brain starts to do the crosswire. So it's important to relax there. Let your muscle memory kind of handle a lot of the execution that you've practiced for. But if I relax too much, I often will have an opponent that's adjusting to me. And it's not that I am aiming to be complacent, but if I relax too much, I might be, starting to not observe as much, and my opponent is observing me. Sometimes depends on, who you're fighting against. But when it comes to like top level play, you watch those players, and oftentimes they are doing again, they're trying to hit that bullseye of relaxing, but they're also constantly staying aware. So your brain's staying active, but you're also, again, you have to recall upon trained muscle memory. And again, that's the same for music. So when I did perform, I think I had a great time. People tell me I did good, which I'm glad they enjoyed it. That was the big part. I'm glad people enjoyed the performance. To me, I just wanted to do my best, play music, and I'm glad I did that. That was actually a big part of my life, was doing that solo saxophone performance. And then a bit later, I did the piano proficiency exam. And, that along with the saxophone proficiency sophomore exam, they both had a lot of stakes. The piano proficiency exam at UCM was like, I think 90% of your grade. So you could actually pass, you could actually get A's on all your piano exams, but if you don't do good on that proficiency exam, it was like 85-90%. I think I have the syllabus. It was a lot. It was actually like the highest grade in terms of stakes I've ever had in a class. And so talk about, that type of performance anxiety. But that is so important, is using that performance anxiety to fuel how much you care. And what's funny is that, again, while at UCM, I remember getting ready for a big, oh, by the way, I passed the piano and saxophone exams, but what this dials into is, I remember in music history class, April 2019, I'm getting ready for this big music history exam. And I've had the Golf Channel on in the background for a while at this time. I just happened to catch this interview with Tiger Woods as I'm preparing for, a big exam. And it's literally the day before a big tournament, and they're asking Tiger Woods, are you nervous? And he basically was telling the interviewer, they were asking if he's nervous, anxious, and he was like, if I didn't care, I wouldn't be nervous or anxious. Like they're like, are you anxious about this event? He's like, if I didn't care, I wouldn't be anxious. He had a pretty good answer overall about that, and that's such a good response. And then the next day, I'm literally studying for this music history exam, and what's the news headline? Tiger Woods wins the green jacket. And I'm like, that right there that was like a mini masterclass in doing your best in a performance and hitting that sweet spot between relaxation but also staying key and aware all the time, maladaptive. And what's funny is it's harder to find that interview because there's so many interviews of him winning the green jacket the next day. But yeah, that interview of Tiger Woods the day before he wins the green jacket in 2019, it was huge. And it dials back to, again, good performances. And college and school and studies are the same thing. You study for material, and that's what you're training your muscle memory for, long-term memory. In terms of like, what are things that my neural pathways can recall? And then when it's game day, what can you pull up while also, performing to the clock? Just like chess, just like Super Smash Brothers P+, Melee. There's a timer, but you've practiced for this, so do your best, relax, but stay maladaptive to what's thrown at you, because oftentimes, those exams aren't one for how you prepared. Obviously, it would be unfair if the questions had a bunch of material that wasn't covered. But in terms of like the question format, that's really the big part that you're adjusting to along with the timer. And yeah, it was super helpful to see that interview. It was just inspirational for sure. And, it's the things that I've been thinking about and experiencing for many years leading into that. And it's cool to see Tiger Woods say that, because even someone like him, who's just often considered the best golfer of all time, say that when it comes to doing the performance, there is a little bit of performance anxiety, but that's good. I remember talking to my music instructors about that. Performance anxiety is important because there's something on the line. You obviously don't beat yourself up if you mess up. That actually is ironically worse. But like I said earlier, if you miss like a note or something, you just keep at it with the performance. And just like in fighting games and competitive football, you might miss a play, but it's important to just consistently pick yourself back up and keep at it. I love Mondays.